Do you mostly want your neck and your chest, or would you like your face in it?
Maybe some of my face. That would be nice.
There we go.
You think it matters?
Probably.
People can't just recognize me from my open heart.
It could be your whole shtick.
Just like right here.
Filming where the transmission is coming from.
If it's too close, you can also push that button that has
Male
a 1, 2,
part.
and 3 there. And you can push it to make it further away. It's good?
You just call it the transmission.
Yeah, just right here.
From the
Right
sacred
here.
masculine heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I don't really need to be there. I can just post pictures of my chest.
Hanuman.
Yes, it's a new
cool
thing.
T-shirts.
With cool t-shirts. I'm gonna shop for more cool t-shirts today. I made up my mind. I'm ready. Okay. All right. So when I rang the bell, I offered you to find a place in your body where you were willing to have the sound penetrate. So just wondering if anybody wants to share, where did you choose? Where did you go? Kind of solar plexus or a little bit lower? Mm-hmm. And what
Sacral.
the knee?
Mm-hmm.
Healing?
Yeah.
Okay. There's pain there?
Seeing if I could feel
Mm.
the
Sweet.
vibration.
And for you, what is this place?
Oh, sacral.
Sacral?
Just like power center.
Power center.
Sexuality.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
Right to my stomach here.
Stomach here because
Longing.
longing. Okay.
Oh.
Oh. Right. Anybody else?
My jaw.
Your jaw. You want softening there? Or what?
Expansion.
Expansion in the jaw, just like.
Instead of
Okay. Okay. Last calls. Anybody else? Okay. So interesting subject today, which is why I chose that on the third bell, which has been coming up all week, which is the subject of receptivity and penetration. Woo! Especially we have a lot of men here, so it's like this subject, which is an edgy subject, and I'll explain in a second. But like you have the sound of the bell, and then you have the knee, and you want the sound of the bell to penetrate the knee. And if it penetrates the knee, it can heal the knee. But if it can't penetrate the knee, then it doesn't do anything. So I come from a very penetrating culture. Of course, my culture is also at war, so it's tricky to talk about it. But just if we take the politics out of it, I come from a culture where everybody just said what they wanted to say in your face right away without even considering if you want it or not. Like, I remember coming to my grandma, and it's like the moment I stepped into the door, she was like, that's not a good haircut. You should have a different haircut. Like, immediately. And it's like, and she was consistent. That was her practice with all the grandkids. And everybody needs to change something. And she would also say, like, I used to be the hairdresser in the kibbutz. And it's like, okay, grandma, but you're like older, and I'm 16. But that didn't deter her, of course. But, that's the culture I came from. It's a very penetrating culture. It's like it doesn't consider you. Just everybody says what they want to say to you, when they want to say it. And they're like, eat. But I'm gluten intolerant. It doesn't matter. Just eat. And so when I came to the U.S., I came to California, and of course this penetrating culture doesn't work there, at least in the contact improv, more therapeutic. Lots of therapists were around me, and the first few years it was a clash. It was really a clash for me. It was very difficult, actually, because I was like, I didn't understand. Like, I would offend people and I would say the wrong thing. And later on, I had to come to terms with I'm a little bit rough around the edges. And I used to joke about myself. I used to say that I came to California like a burnt Israeli cookie, and they put me in soy milk, and I softened. Right? And I genuinely said that. I'm not making that up, because that's what I felt. I was deeply grateful that I left the penetrating culture, because I wanted to leave it. Family situation, parents got divorced, everybody just constantly. I'm like, I'm going to go to this other place. Which is very common, by the way, because my boss at the time said to me, why did you come to the US? And I said, well, I wanted to work at a startup. And he said, no, you came because you were running away from your family. I was like, you got me. Okay. So it's very common. So I wanted to get out of the penetrating culture, and I got immersed in a very receptive, soft culture. I did. And so for many years I studied like Hakomi and the somatic psychotherapy and became more gentle and more gentle and more receptive. And I have to tell you, this took years because it wasn't enough. Like, I thought I was like, I'm 80% there. And they're like, dude, you are so rough. It's like, you go do more Shavasana. You know? And so I did that for many years. I did, and I softened, and I softened, and I softened. And without noticing something, I actually lost something. I didn't lose it completely because I can't. Like, I mean, my language had and in it, so you can't completely, like, I don't know if you know this, but English is a very round language. Does anybody speak other languages? Okay. Thai. Yeah. English is a round language. Like we have like my name in Hebrew is Ori. Ori, like the French, you know, and in the US it's like Ori. Like everything goes round. So there is a softness here, even in the language, that actually is in it. So even though, you know, there's a lot of penetration and war here too, there is a certain distancing and softness that in my culture it's more like Italy. You get the family together, everybody just argues, and the people from the outside think that you're arguing, but you're okay. You know, then you just eat and it's okay. So I lost some of that, and I softened, and I softened, and I softened, and I was going to teachers who told me to soften and keep on softening. And recently, as I over-softened and started getting injuries that have to do with softening, I actually started different physical practices, and I started lifting, and I started uprighting, and I started doing that, and I started realizing that there's this penetrative reality that I have that I'm in a little bit of a conflict with. Okay? Anybody here has a conflict with being a penetrative person besides me?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, right? And it's dangerous sometimes because you just go and people go like, well, you can't say that. You know, it's like you're not supposed to say that. And then we go like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to say that, and then there starts a little bit of conflict with the inner authenticity. Now, anybody that's worked with me knows that I penetrate well. Like, not in a way that's intrusive, but in a way that when I actually feel that I need to go in, I go in, right? So I've learned over time to respect, to know, to do that. And I started feeling in the last few months how in spirituality, actually, because we're coming here for awakening for spirituality, in this environment, there's a lot of consideration to be soft and gentle, and let's just take it easy and relax and do Shavasana, and I'm like, oh, we're missing something. Right? That was a good gesture, right? We are missing something. There's something here that's coming from deep within that's like, wait a minute. Yes, receptivity, but to penetrate doesn't mean that it's not receptive. That's what I was thinking this morning. I was like, well, wait a minute. To actually penetrate, not the penetration that we see in politics where we override each other and just, you know, bulldozer over each other. That's not a conscious penetration, but to actually penetrate for real is a grand receptivity, actually. When somebody can actually meet you and actually know where to go and actually know how to touch something deep in you, there's a huge amount of receptivity there. And when somebody's very receptive, that can penetrate too. So here we are. I started feeling we're separating them so much, and we're starting to lose something. Right? Tell me about that deep breath. That was good. I like that. See if anything came up.
What I'm like sitting with as you're talking about this is that Like, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've culturally, especially in
Yes,
you know
environment.
the healing spiritual bubble, erred so much towards being soft and non-penetrative
Mm-hmm.
that we're actually like, this sounds weird, like hurting each other. Like
Yes.
the analogy that's coming to mind in my head is like if someone had, some sort of cancer
Mm-hmm.
and the surgeon was like, oh, you've got this cancer, but if we were going to try and do something about it, I'm going to have to like I'm going to have to like penetrate you with a scalpel, and it isn't going to feel good, and I'm going to have to like cross the boundary between my body. So we're just going to leave it there, and we're not
Right.
going to
Right.
we're not going to point to it. We're not going to, and I feel like a lot of what I perceive in healing awakening at large is like
Right.
we're so averse to penetration that nothing has any potency.
Right. Right. We're starting to lose the potency. Yeah. I like the little in the circle. Let's go do that. Because even that, you can feel that. It's like you're willing to take a stand. You're willing to.
Yeah.
And so, in this non-dual inquiry that we do, what we are touching upon, what we're looking for, is to, and I've described this before in writing, what we're looking for is to close a gap between I'm looking, let's say I'm a seeker, I'm looking to close a gap between me and myself. Right? There's a gap between me and myself. There's this observer gap. Right? I'm watching me, which means I'm separate. Anything that I'm watching, I'm separate. And to actually dive deep within, which is very different than the idea of transcending, actually to dive deep within and feel this gesture in yourself, actually to dive deep within, requires a certain amount of penetration. Right? I have to go into myself, I have to dive into myself, and I have to be stable enough and loving enough and receptive enough to actually penetrate layers that go, ouch, don't want to. Right? And the question is how do we do that, right? How do we do that? How do we penetrate? So I'm coming back to my language, right? Who here is familiar with the life-centric, person-centric? Anybody not familiar? You're not familiar. Okay. I'll give you the general overview so I'm saying what we're looking for is a life-centric reality, which is a source, a seed, that we come out of that seed as an expression. And as that seed develops, it covers itself, it rounds itself, it encapsulates itself with something we call a person. And then we sit here and we're this person. That's where we all feel, right? We all feel that we're a person. I feel that I'm a person too. And part of the struggle is to penetrate through this person and to find the life again. Right? But you have to penetrate through this person because this person goes like, oh, I know what you want. Right? That's what the person does. Where? I want to go up there. Right? That's what the person wants to do. But the penetration is down. Are you okay?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I got so emotional. Sorry.
You let me know if you need support
No, I'm good.
or need a hand from somebody.
I just like it's a little much.
Is it?
Sorry.
Okay.
It's alright.
If you need a break,
No, I'm good.
you're good. Okay, you let me know. I'm going to trust you with that. You get her some tissue.
It's totally okay, Sophia.
Yeah.
You're sweet.
Thank you.
And so the first thing we do is touch the person. We've done this several times before, but let's start with that. We touch the person. Right? The person has a name. My name is Ori. And we bring some kindness to the person. Person has a story. Person suffers sometimes. What else would we love to give the person? And this point is not penetrating. We're not penetrating anything yet.
It's okay.
Right? We're not penetrating anything yet.
Nourishment?
Okay, nourishment. So let's give the person some nourishment.
Warmth.
Warmth.
Honor.
Honor. Ooh, I love honor.
Honor the
Space.
life
Space.
Witnessing.
Witnessing.
Listening.
Listening.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Safety.
Safety. Safety, let's pause on safety. Person needs a lot of safety. Right? We can't penetrate without safety. Safety is key. What else?
Patience.
Patience. Yes, absolutely patience. A lot of patience.
So much.
A lot of patience. Okay. Right.
delight.
Delight.
Love.
Love. And just notice that as we're doing that, as we're giving the person all these qualities, we're making contact. Right? We're not backing off. We're coming close. A person has a story, so let the person have a story for a second. Let it. I come from here, I was born there, I'm going through things. Let the person have a little bit of a hum. So nice to be soft, right? And just notice that even as we're soft, we're not backing off. Right? And that's the point. We're not backing off. We're keeping contact. Out of love, out of care, we're keeping contact. And just notice that in that keeping contact, there is a receptivity, but there's also the edge of starting to penetrate because we're keeping contact. We're acknowledging the person.
How would you respond to resistance to offering these things?
Okay. So I was about to say that one of the things you can notice is that even with the idea of offering this, even with the idea of the coming close and slightly starting to penetrate, the person might say, well, no, don't want it, right? Don't want it. Don't want it. So receive that. Receive the don't want it. See if you can just receive the don't want it. Right? Don't come in. Basically the person says don't come in.
How about coming closer?
See if the person's okay with that. Yeah? Yeah, so come closer. See what the person's okay with. And you can see a response. Do you, when the person say don't, do you respond to it by, oh, why'd you say no? Or do you respond to it like, okay, you said no.
Not willing to be held, but willing to be seen. This
Okay.
person.
Okay. Yeah, willing to be
Yeah.
held, willing to be seen. Okay. Now notice, since we're going into the life, notice the center line, and notice which parts harden, which parts soften, which parts wants to sit upright, which part want to collapse. As you're coming close. And we're going to do a little meditation in a minute, and see if you want to do it or not.
Oh, sure, of course.
Because it's going to go in. Okay? So we're going to do a little bit of asking the body to penetrate in with the breath. Okay? So again, see if the body's willing. And just really be real. Just be real. This person has a right to object. Because this person was hurt, this person has life experiences, this person goes like, what the fuck? I don't want this, or I do want this, but I don't even know what I want. Right? That's the whole combination of the person. But start to learn how to acknowledge that, because we can't just barge in, but we're learning how to not back off. That is the beginning of the process. Because ultimately we're touching ourselves. And so the first layer of penetration is actually breath. So you find a point, either here or here or here, and you, as if you have a straw, and I prefer here, as if you have a straw, and the inhale is a in. So it goes in like a straw, so you're not drawing the air, you're inserting the air in. As if this is an egg and there's an embryo coming in, so you're taking the thing in. So it's almost like you have a straw here and you push the air in through that point that you decided. And initially that might feel like a little bit of a violation because I'm going in and I'm forcing air in. And let your body know that this is an act of love. This is not force. And see how that is for you to enter and insert a breath in. There you go. Feeling some of you already. Beautiful. You insert the air in. And you're learning a relationship with yourself in which you penetrate. And as you insert the air in, see how much of your abdomen can relax to receive it. So you have these 2 points. You have one going in, penetrating, and one receiving and opening. And this I do every night now. And stay close. Don't let the breath draw itself. You insert it. Anybody here has trouble with that? Okay. Now we're going to do another thing. We're going to include the mind, because the mind has been villainized in this over-receptive culture, right? So the mind penetrates, but it needs to learn how to do it. So the straw from here goes down to here and pushes the air in. It's very involved in the process of going in. And just see what happens to your abdomen. Does it open? Is it willing to receive the penetrative energy, or does it want to close down, or does it want to do it by itself? And you can think about the fetus. Before the fetus starts to be autonomous, the mother pushes the nutrients in. So you're doing the same. You're starting to push the nutrients into your, underneath the person. You can almost think the person as the shell, and that syringe, that whatever that is piercing through the person and filling with energy. Oh, I'm hearing some nice gurgles. And I also see some of you doing that with a slight smile. So notice that as you penetrate, you can also add some love into it. But keep present. Mm-hmm. And start to get the clarity that you are doing two things here. One, you are penetrating with your mind through the person into the life underneath. And one, the other one is you are also receptive. Right? You're receiving that air. You're receiving it. Right? You're doing that, both things. Penetrating, receiving, masculine, feminine, all together, all at once. And then start feeling the circumference of around the belly. So as you penetrate, you find areas where the air is not received, and you start allowing air to go there, just very gently. Again, there's no violence here. It's an offering. Here it is. Here's the air. Here's the back of the body too. And keep your mind steady. Keep your mind just really letting the air in when it's needed. And kind of mothering and fathering yourself in a way. And just wait. Just wait for that shift as you create that relationship. Wait for that shift. As both parts starts to the mind and the abdomen or the chest start to work together. One is receiving and one is receptive and one is penetrative. Would love to hear from you what you're feeling before we continue. Where is it difficult? Where is it easy? Where is it deep? Can you differentiate between the penetrating of the mind through the vessel into the abdomen that receives it? Feel it?
Yeah.
How is it?
It's like being with someone on a damp fall day in a cabin, and it's Sunday, and you don't want to leave. You want the weekend to continue. It's very peaceful.
It's very peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put things in order.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. This just came to me spontaneously a few days ago as I was doing some practices, and suddenly it was like, oh, and then every night I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna let this receive me. Let this open.
Feels like the receiving is my out breath. It's the way I can kind of keep the pattern.
And when you penetrate with the air, this cannot receive the air?
Yeah, but on the out breath.
It receives it on the out breath. Okay, it is what it is.
I do notice a softening on the out breath as well, in some way. That does feel a little receptive, so I can relate to that.
There's many more fun stuff we can do for the out breath. I just went step by step. And how is it to let yourself penetrate? Just very gently, very simply, you're like, okay. Inserting the breath.
It's kind of an act of love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nourishing.
Nourishing. Yeah.
I'm thinking of the phrase "I'm here."
I'm here. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I experience the sensations, but nothing
Mm.
nothing
Okay.
more than just the sensations.
Mm-hmm. Can you pierce more? And offer more air? Just do, I'm going to insert more air with your mind. It's going to go straight line, insert more air. And see how far down you can reach and see how far back you can reach. As if you had this syringe and you can go to all kinds of corners and go like, I'm going to open that up, I'm going to open that up. And is it okay to want to open yourself up? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of shavasana going on, which is like we're going to just relax to open. There's the other way in which I'm going to insert to open. I have to be careful. I have to notice, but I have to insert to open. This is a practice you can do to start to open the whole, this whole bowl, this whole pelvic bowl, this whole back of the spine. You can reach down, you can reach sideways, you can reach backward, you can open it up. A lot of the Chinese and Hindu alchemy is about opening this up. You see the yogis kind of like, they're all like moving here inside here to really get this. Because this is a lot where the awakening happens, right here, below the belly button, this thing, and down below, right? But in the open heart receptivity, everybody goes to the heart. Let's just open our heart. They're like, well, great, this is not ready. This is not ready. This is the cauldron, right here. This is the one that is hard to get to, actually. Eventually it'll rise to the heart, but it's all here. And you can see me sitting. I'm not sitting with effort, if you can notice. If I penetrate from here to here, and I'm sending that channel all the way down here to open it up. It gives my mind a loving job. Right? So my mind can't just run free. I'm not waiting for it to shut down. I'm giving it a job. Find the channel, slowly enter. You like that one?
I like that one. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, because you don't want to let the mind go free, because it'll go like, well, I don't have anything to do. Well, let's think about something. Right? What is the problem here? Right? That's what the mind likes to do. There must be a problem here. We need to fix it. So I'm giving myself, and for me it feels like a really nice container right here. It just goes down and starts to fill, starts to open. And with loving intention. It starts to penetrate, and then I feel all this starting to receive. Right? All this, yeah, there it goes. All this is starting to receive. Starting to soften, starting to receive. And by doing that, I'm underneath the person. See if you can feel that. By doing that, I'm going underneath the person. I wonder who can feel that one. That you go underneath the person with this. Yeah, the heart will open from here by itself. You don't need to be concerned about it.
I had it's like a first responder was willing to give someone CPR, like they love the life that they're trying to save.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the sense of like I was trying to love myself by giving myself this.
Yes, beautiful. I love the CPR
Yeah,
analogy
that's
too.
cool. That's cool.
Like CPR, you have to penetrate.
Yeah.
There's like there's no life going in. We're
Yeah.
going in.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not waiting for you. Like, would you want it?
Yeah. But then to look at the
Yeah.
first responder
As loving.
as loving.
Yeah.
So you have to give and you have to receive.
Right. Right. You have to do them both.
Yeah.
Right. Right. It's a beautiful combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's touching you so deeply? You've had that? You've felt that?
I just gave myself that.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for giving yourself that.
Yeah.
Mm. 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 Who needs support? How is it to sit here with penetrating and receiving at the same time? Honoring, penetrating. Like where we went in. We weren't waiting. We directed ourselves somewhere.
Feels scandalous.
Same one. Same one.
You're not supposed to be so directed and penetrating. Like,
Uh-huh.
You know,
Uh-huh.
Om Shanti.
Om
Come on.
Shanti, right? 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 I mean, after all, it is all an illusion.
Shavasana.
It is all an illusion. Yeah. Let's do Shavasana.
It's so weird. I have my father was a very penetrative individual, and my mom was extremely receptive,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just vibrate between those two.
Mm.
I could never integrate them.
Right. It's not integrated.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the pain, right? Right there. You can feel it. Ow. That's the pain. Right? They're so polarized.
Yeah.
The penetrative is completely blind. The receptive is like, missing the penetration, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Which is exactly why this impulse started coming, because I opened myself up enough in the last year to go like, okay, I'm ready to start penetrating.
Yeah.
Right? And the opening itself was difficult. It wasn't like, I actually opened my body in the last year a lot, and it wasn't like soft. Like I had to open the tissue. I had to open this whole thing. I was like, oh, okay. I forgot about this.
Yeah.
Because I've been in soy milk for a long time. Soy milk is not a thing anymore, right? It should have been almond milk now, but in 2001, soy milk was a thing.
Almond milk's on its way out.
Oh, what
Macadamia
now?
nut, macadamia.
Oh,
yeah.
Coconut.
Huh?
Yeah, coconut.
So some sort of macadamia coconut, and am I allowed to be burnt cookie, or is it gluten-free burnt cookie? We have to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, gluten-free burnt cookie and almond coconut milk. Are we still filming? We're still filming? We're good. I don't want to lose this. This is good.
This is priceless.
This is the real teaching.
Yeah.
Which combination of pseudo milk are we doing? Mm. So there is a need to open up internal space. Right? There is a need to open up internal space. Now, if you can, and this might be a little bit abrupt for you, if you can go to the person for a second and feel how internal space gets closed. It's kind of hard. I don't want to, but if you can, just as a contrast. Going to the person is kind of going to the skin. Like if I were to guide you to go to the person, you go to the skin because you're not inside, you're going to the skin and you're looking out. Right? The person points and focuses out, so it deals with the world. Put yourself on some street, on some coffee shop, and start chatting with somebody. You'll see it takes you out. You're not really involved in this alchemical process of opening your inside.
Yeah.
Right? You feel that?
Yeah. Story creeps in.
Yeah, story keeps in. So that contrast, even though it's painful to go there, that contrast is important. I want to encourage you to take yourself there.
Yeah.
So you feel the contrast, even though it's like, no, I don't want to. I want to stay in life. No, go to person. Go to person. And then when you're ready, slip underneath again. Boom.
Did you do it?
That was a transmission.
Slipped right in.
Yeah.
Transmission of going underneath the person. Your person popped. Which is good.
I can feel it.
Yeah. Just go in and out of that a little bit. Go in and out of that. Start to learn the medium. The reason I keep on emphasizing going back to the person, just a little story. I had a memory of some story about Muktananda. So I went online to Wikipedia to search about Muktananda, and there's all these things. And then, of course, there's sexual impropriety and all that stuff. And I go oh, Muktananda. I forgot about the person again. Right? Because a lot of these teachers, they go into life, and then they're like, what person? It doesn't matter. It's all one. It's don't do that mistake again. I really believe that there's a need to go between, to learn both, because especially when people come to me, I don't, if they're coming as a person, I don't want to go well, it's all an illusion, man. You should just do life together, So that's why I'm saying, even if it's painful to go to the person, and the story comes back, go. Learn how to do both. It's that bridging between both that I feel is the path that I am drawn to. Because I am a sensitive person and get hurt and all the things, and at the same time I can go into life and just go hold on, let me do it on camera. Penetrating. There. Right? And there's no story there. There's no story there. It's just raw. It starts to move and, it's emergent. Right? The moment I penetrate. And then let's go back to person. Ugh, had a fight with somebody this morning. Ow. Right? Those are two things. You have to go between. You have to learn how to go between.
Can you do it at the same time? Can you have both?
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume that you can. I personally don't want to yet. Because if I look at all the teachers that have fallen, whatever, they all forgot the person. Somehow Muktananda forgot the person.
No, can you have both the person and the life at the same time?
I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
I personally don't want to. I actually want to do the transition between, and then it'll decide itself. But I actually want to make clear what's what.
Because you're meeting people where they are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I want to fully meet in the person when the person is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to dude, that's just an illusion. It's just a story, get over it. Let's just move to the life. No, don't want that.
I resonate with the oscillation you're talking
Mhm.
about.
Mm-hmm.
To build a little bit on that, I start from here to here, to the throat, the heart, solar plexus,
To
central root, fill the bowl,
Mm-hmm.
energy down the legs, knees, calves, and into the ground. That's the out breath for me. Now I'm tingling.
Mm-hmm.
Then bringing energy up, same pathway here up the spine. Is the other is the energize, expand, and aliveness piece. And so if it's oscillating back and forth at a rate you can hold attention, breaks up a lot of energetic blocks.
Right.
Is what I would call them. What would you call them?
Energetic scar tissue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And that you can do walking, standing, in an argument if you can come back to center. And the grounding, I think that's penetrating. Right? And then the other side is the expanding aliveness field.
Yeah.
Unified field piece.
So as you can see, oscillation is important. The oscillation is the waves of the ocean, right? It's like washing. Person, life, which is more like this, life, person,
Yeah.
right? It's more like this, because the person is really on the surface of the life. It's encapsulating it. And ultimately also, just to add, after becoming really familiar with the person, with the life, you actually want the life to feed the person. You want the person to be fed.
Yes.
So we don't want to. Well, we also want embodiment, right? It's one thing to do oneness. It's another thing to do embodiment in the person, right? And embodiment is like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, person, feed, like we did. So in the beginning, we fed the person from above, right? Now we're feeding the person from below. The person is the meeting place. Right? It is. The person is the meeting place. I want to remind that. 'Cause some people don't think the person is the meeting place. Right? The person is that special meeting place. Without the person, we can't meet.
Is it fair to say that if you're starting to feel here instead of just here, that there's more of an awakening or a good sign of awakening, or yeah?
Yeah. I think this is more in the dark. This area, is it shown in the video? No? This area.
So much.
You can take it back and you push the 2 button. Take it back.
The zoom out button. Yeah.
Okay. Does that see? Right. This place is more in the dark. Everybody's really busy opening this up. I love you. But this place, and I'm so cynical when I say that. Let's shake it off. Okay, but this is the place that's in the dark. This is the place that's hard to penetrate. This is the place where you have to keep yourself upright, because this place is also, when you start penetrating it, it also sometimes pulls in. It's like, ugh, I don't want it. Right? So you have to keep that elongation and to gently go and ask permission and ask permission and ask permission until it starts to soften. And then it can rise, right?
Yeah.
Then it can start to go up. And the heart has a place to stand. It has a cauldron to actually sit on. But yes, this is the hardest one. And I think sometimes in the over-ego culture, there's a tendency to blow the heart open.
Okay. Sorry, can I use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's over there. There's also one over there if you go to the right.
Oh, the right?
Yeah, near the door. You can go downstairs and there's one over there. So, yeah, this is the place to first, like, not first, but to start to penetrate in order to have this reciprocal. Now, to do that, what I mean receiving, just because you went to the out-breath, I just want a technical thing. For me, receiving is when I feel the soft tissue of the belly, basically with the channel, the penetrating channel, I feel the soft belly receive me like a balloon. And that's what I call receptivity. So it's like a balloon that I'm putting air inside and the balloon's just opening. So the balloon's not doing anything. Right? The balloon is passive, so it's receptive. But the balloon's job is to soften. So it's to feel all the tissue here receive. And you can soften your jaw too, which helps. If you soften your jaw, this will soften. And all this allows me to sit upright for a whole hour without any fatigue. Nothing. I used to go to Vipassana. I was 24 in 10 days. I was like, my back hurts all the time. It took 20 years to finally sit upright and go like, yeah, I'm actually okay. But it's the opening of the whole thing. This all has to open. And that balloon, like with the fetus, that balloon, if you feed it enough, eventually it'll start to feed itself. It'll just do it. Right? Because the same as the fetus, right? The mom feeds, and eventually the child starts to pull. Right? So it'll eventually start to pull. But in the beginning, you have to like keep it in check and start to like slowly soften it and fill it up and let it dissipate, fill it up and let it dissipate until it starts to pull. The point is to stay with the penetration. That's the point. Do not go into Shavasana. Please. Don't. Keep the mind active, like in a clear putting it in. Keep it very active, kind of like if I were to model it, whatever energetic you can see. Like even though this is doing a light show right now, I'm focused on here. This will just do whatever it wants to do, right? Yeah. Questions?
I have an observation.
Yeah.
When you were first talking about how we do sort of the woo love, you know, and
Nope, that was him. He did these motions. I didn't do it. It's his fault.
Well, I'm noticing, you know, as I'm inserting here too. I mean, and this is where your passion is, right? This is where your fire of life,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
All from in here,
Right.
and I notice it like stokes the fire up towards the heart, and the
Mhm.
heart then is more
Mhm.
substantial, more
Right.
substantive
It's
kind
supportive.
of love, not a like,
Right.
of course I love everybody,
I
I
love
love,
you.
but a like a, I love you,
Right.
like that, you
Right.
know. And so yeah, I really love the
Yeah.
connection, and like to me it feels like stoking a fire, like I'm
Yeah.
putting fuel in the fire so it can.
Yeah. So then the heart is supported with something more substantial. And then it's not supported by the mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because for most of us, the heart is supported by the mind.
Mm-hmm.
I love you so much. We're gonna get divorced in 10 years, but oh my God. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I am imagining you, as opposed to like arise, right? Like to start to rise. But it takes a lot of softening underneath to do that cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to get to the back and to get to the soft tissues here and that's the receptivity. The receptivity is to let the tissue soften as I penetrate and basically massage it with intention, right? I'm entering air inside. But yeah, feels like that to me too. It feels like, oh, my heart now has a place to actually
Mm-hmm.
be supported from underneath.
Right. And it's less about like, oh, let me go in and fix what's wrong.
Right,
Where's something that's wrong? But no, I'm
Right.
just
yeah,
fueling myself.
right. And to add to that, if you want to fix what's wrong, that means the energy's up, right? Because now this is going like, I want to fix what's wrong. This is not okay. And so that's why we want to keep this kind of like, I almost feel a pressure here to close it so it doesn't go out, so it doesn't go up. So like to close it so it can slowly just with the channel just send the air down. Like almost keep it closed, not you know, not insist, but just like go like, okay, container. Because I'm teaching my mind to penetrate. Right? There's two practices here. I'm teaching my mind to penetrate, I'm teaching my cauldron to receive and light up. I'm doing two things.
And you're aware of both of those at the same time?
Yeah, I am. I'm just checking as you're asking. Yeah. I'm at the same time keeping a clear penetration, at the same time softening that tissue as much as I can.
In my experience, I kept being much more aware of being receptive or being penetrated, and I would try to, like bring the awareness, bring the focus back to penetrating, but like right when I penetrated, I would slip back into like the body of reception, and it was really tough for me to hold both, or to stay in penetration as well, which I think is kind of related to what you're saying at the beginning of this talk.
So what you could do, what I think I would do to add to that, I would create the straw in a very transparent like let's say plastic or something like that, and I would have the air have a color and a texture, so I can follow it during the penetration process, right? So I'm like,
yeah, that feels helpful.
right? So I'm giving the penetration more substance so I can follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that can help with that because the penetration for you doesn't have substance. The receiving has more substance.
Right.
So we just color it, give it texture, give it a channel, see it like with like, I don't know, like blue lights that's a little blue, that's a little bit lit for me. That's what I would do.
Mm.
Go shh. I go shh.
Visualizing golden white light. helps
Golden
a
white
lot.
light. Yeah, there you go.
And then filling the bowl with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
or different colors depending on what you're penetrating with.
That's not my expertise, honestly. Like, there's some other people do chakras and colors.
So physically speaking,
Yeah.
I mean, the air goes down, but the air has to come back up because that's how you inhale and exhale.
Right.
So when you're penetrating, the breath goes down, but it seems like not on a physical level, but the air dissipates here, even though in reality it has to come back up. I'm not sure what to do with that.
So I personally, at this point, but I didn't want to add it, I'm starting to play with not only penetrating, but also vacuuming it up. So I'm actually doing the whole thing. I'm drawing it. I'm drawing it back. And that warms me up really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But can that have a breath?
Well, it includes a breath.
Okay. Because I can't receive without a breath. I don't know
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah. But the point of the thing is, like, when we usually breathe, we think about suctioning from the outside, right? That's how the diaphragm takes from the nostrils and pulls, right? We're just changing this. We're changing this into directing
Mm-hmm.
and then pulling out. So for me, I like a balloon. I like to, like, the balloon does this and then it kind of shrivels. So that's how the tissue softens. And I keep a certain container here because I want to feel it all over. So I do keep a certain container here to let it, to penetrate and let it move where I want it to move slowly. So it's not, my belly's not completely loose actually. It's like a little bit held. So the back can be nourished. Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can play with that. You know, all that I'm telling is just these come to me as I'm doing practices. I start going, oh, you know, every morning, every night, okay. And it seems to calm me down. Like whatever my story is, I just go like, whoop, okay, well, okay, oh, energy's here again. Boom. See how it's just straighten me up. Just open the back of my neck. That was fun.
So I noticed something. I made the joke about being scandalous, but actually underneath that there was a kind of this reluctance to, and concern that I would slip back into this harsh, forceful, intolerant way of practicing, which I did for a lot of years.
Just forcing it.
Yeah, right. You know, trying to force the mind onto the breath, or Vipassana type practice.
How's the person feel about that?
This is maybe the best shot you have. That plus medicine is like the best shot you have.
That was the best shot.
The best
Yeah.
opportunity, the best way forward, the most promising way forward.
Right. And how is this different?
Well, that's, how is it different?
Just go into it and just see how it's different from within it. So we don't have to look from the outside. And that's how we want to learn how to investigate. We want to always investigate from the inside. How is this different? And the forcing.
I'm not sure, but it does feel a little different. I feel cautious, but it does feel different.
Okay. I can offer why it feels different. Because it's not the person doing it. Right. It's the underneath starting to do itself. And that's a big difference.
Thank you.
Anybody feel the sweetness of that?
Yeah, and I'm feeling something that, like, my story is that we're tracking on a similar path at the moment, so I'm curious if my insight has any meaning for you as well. The fascinating thing I noticed at the very beginning when we just started to, like, come in and meet the person first was, like, interestingly met with, like, a pretty clear, like, fuck you kind of energy.
Right.
And what came with it, because, like, I felt the fuck you from the person, and then I got really curious about it, and I was like, what's that about? And he's like, you're not here for me, you're just trying to get past me.
Ooh.
And I was like, wow, that's the entire last decade of my spiritual practice, is trying to get past the person, and like get out of the fucking way. I'm trying to get to the real thing. And so like, as I approached the person was very clearly like, go fuck yourself. You just want to get me out of the way. And I was like, fuck. And like, I'm feeling like a really deep appreciation for the person, and that's like the very like subtle juice of the path is like, in a way, the person isn't the real thing. And like, you know, we can talk about how my personality is just a part that consciousness is playing, like an actor plays a role. And also, like, if an actor came on stage and was like, I'm not actually Romeo, that's bullshit. Or it was just like that's like the whole fucking point is to be this thing, but without delusion.
Right.
And I've been trying to, like, backhand it out of the way for 10 years. And I, like, really felt that energy where I was like, oh wow, I've been, like, trying to shove the person aside. I've been, like, succeeding at shoving the person aside. And that's gotten me to a certain place, and now I need to, like, turn around and be like, oh, sorry, person. I've been a bit of a dick for the past 10 years.
That's a good start.
It's like the Romeo wants to come on stage, and somebody comes in and like, get off stage. Get off stage. And then it's like, but I'm trying to be Romeo here. You know, this is my reality. You know, which is why I like to say that the person is not an illusion. First of all, I missed you. Come more. Thank you.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was like a massive
massive transmission.
It was just like a slap in the face from the person.
Wow.
And I was like, okay.
And it's so important to recognize it, right? Because otherwise you're just fighting the person for like a decade or two, which is what you did.
But it was like, it was so clear from like the person centric, which isn't an illusion, like you say.
Yeah, it's a reality.
He was like, you're not here for me. Right. You don't give a fuck. I was like, oh. It's like, you're right. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
My version is, fuck you, you think I'm broken. Like, you need to be fixed. You think I need to be fixed. So,
right. I'm just feeling, as you're both saying that, I'm feeling like how much the person gets abandoned. Right?
Yeah.
Like the person's just abandoned. The person's like, well, it's not my fault. I'm just like this reality here. And it's like, you're telling me that I'm not allowed here because I'm causing problems. As opposed to like, no, honey, you're the birth child of this life, you know. That's part of the birth of life, is to create a person.
Unless you just go totally person, and then, you know.
And then it's misery all the way.
It's pure misery, right.
Just person is pure misery. We're all clear. Everybody's clear on that? The only problem with just person, that if it's just person, it's painful. Because then you're missing yourself, right? You're missing a layer of yourself that's actually the deep feeding. You're just missing it. You're just trying to nourish yourself from your ideas, right? You're asking for the story to give you life.
It was interesting when we first started. When I met the person, I started to get sad, and I thought, well, let's just go with sadness. And I'm like, no, I don't want to just go with sadness. And somehow through that process, I was able to sidescape the sadness and get more into life, which is weird because I wanted to just drown in that sadness for a moment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a balance, right? It's a balance.
Yeah.
It's a balance, how to honor the person, how to not lose ourselves in the person, how to go underneath, how to feed, how to nourish.
I wanted to respond. I don't know your name.
Jay.
I like where you're coming from. Jay, I'm Stevie Ray. I find it less Zen military discipline and more husbandry, in the sense of caring for animals, the environment, children, husbandry.
Being a good steward.
Yeah, a good steward of one's energy field and one's self and those inner parts that are still not aligned on my highest frequency. So it's like a longer process of tilling the ground, I guess. Maybe I'll stick with the farming, gardening metaphor. I talked to a Zen master Buddhist, and he needed some coaching, and we're talking, and I was like, well, why do you make everybody sit like that? Everybody's in pain for lifetimes sitting like that. And he goes, it's for discipline. And I went, well, that needs some balance with the care and appreciation piece.
It's funny.
I find that sustainable, even attainable. The other one is not for me.
It's interesting because when you said it's discipline, I wanted to answer the Zen master and say, no, it's not discipline, it's incompetence.
I'm with you, dude. Absolutely.
Right? It's incompetence. It's like you don't know how to do it. Right? It's like, I mean, if you look at my personal process, I'm constantly in inquiry how to do this. Like, sure, I can tell you all to sit for like 10 hours, but I'm like, that didn't work for me. So it kind of pains me sometimes when you have these teachers and they just do this, and I was like, hasn't been working. Like, okay, you've had 10,000 teachers, what's been happening actually? And you can't ignore the person, like you said. You ignore the person with discipline, the person's just gonna come get really angry. Yeah. That was a beautiful share. Thank you. I think we're gonna close in a minute because I feel, because it's time. Take a moment to see if any last thing. Get a smile at your person, get a smile of the channel of penetration. Thank you for allowing me to open the subject of penetration, because I think it's a tricky subject. I'm honored that we had an opportunity to do that. Really. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna hit this 3 times, and if at any point you want this to penetrate, then just choose a spot and play with it. you for coming to Satsang.
Mm.
Yay.